Hello and welcome to Fight News Now. I'm John Paula. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at Simon Marcus as the Glory middleweight champion will look to make the first defense of his championship this Friday night in Los Angeles against Dustin Jacoby. We'll also be taking a further look at UFC 198 as well as Bellator's 154 event that happened Saturday night in San Jose, California. We will discuss that card with John Ramdine and Robin Black as well as BJ Penn's newest opponent for UFC 199. That is all coming up on today's edition of Fight News Now. I'm here with John Ramdine and Robin Black. And man, I've got to say, UFC 198, Bellator 154, Glory 30. Some of these numbers, when you just jumble them all together, it just sounds like arithmetic at some point. Like,
again, I think the UFC wants us to get rid of numbers, whether it's fight night. I don't think Glory cares.
Come the night of UFC 200, they will not be complaining about numbers at all. Believe me, they're going to cash in on that number.
Sure, that number, UFC 100. But again, I think the focus is on who's fighting in the main event. And I think that's what we should look at. Bellator, God, what number is it? 153?
154 this weekend. Come on.
Come on, John.
Hey, look, I think most of us are disappointed because, yeah, it's King Mo and it's Phil Davis, two top 205-pound fighters. But I think most people, realistically, were looking forward to that match between Michael Chandler and Josh Thompson. Apparently, Aaron Pico at the AKA Academy in San Jose, he dealt with Josh Thompson. He's out of the fight. Then it's like, okay, well, that fight's off. We're looking forward to Sergey Haratonov. Haratonov's now off the card.
This has been a snake-bitten event in San Jose, and one that I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of traction they get. They're going up against the prelims of UFC 198, a quality main event. You really can't argue about that, but certainly I think losing Thompson and Chandler, it took some of the luster off of this card in San Jose.
Also, the main event of the prelims is Damian Maia versus Matt Brown. I mean, I'm a Phil Davis guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe I'll sort of flick it in the commercials.
I think that's probably what will happen. I think this has happened before where Bellator and the UFC have had shows running simultaneously. And I just had the or World Series fight. I can't remember what it was. And I had the chance to flip back and forth. It's like, okay, what fight's coming up? Oh, this is the fight I'd rather see. We'll watch that. And then you flip over
something
to see
wrong
that.
with us, man. There's something wrong with us. But in that 54 seconds between the time where Damian Maia walks back and Matt Brown is going that way, when some commercials run out, I'll see what Phil's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe I should just take a break and let my won't do that. Won't do that. But hey, listen, they weren't saying Bellator did not go, let's run Phil Davis versus King Mo up against a stadium show in Brazil lined up with the big fighters. This was originally scheduled as just a fight night show, was it not?
At one point,
believe
and
it was.
It's grown into much more on Saturday night with 45,000 people in attendance.
Now Bellator can tease the fact that they've got Shoot-A-Box Academy's Cyborg on the card too, so people watching on TV.
You're not going to confuse her. It's like, I know she's muscular, but she had hair, and I don't know. This doesn't look right.
As we look towards UFC 199, we talked about it earlier this week. Dennis Siver falling out of that fight with BJ Penn. Now Cole Miller is in. I think a lot of people, I mean, whether it's Dennis Siver, whether it's Cole Miller, this is BJ Penn's comeback fight. He is the person that people are tuning in for, which, much like Damian Maia, Matt Brown, and Phil Davis, King Mo, it's going to be on free television to see BJ Penn's return fight. His first fight in close to 2 years. Is Cole Miller that much different of an obstacle for BJ Penn? Because I don't think you can guarantee anything with BJ Penn. 2 years older at this point. Cole Miller is a very different style than Dennis Siver, but I think the same level of challenge.
Sure, but I mean, this is we here at Fight Network, there's a lot of BJ Penn fans here, and what we heard is, oh, this is a way better fight for BJ. Cole Miller, not as skilled as Dennis Siver, not as dangerous as Dennis Siver. I don't know why everybody's so concerned with BJ Penn. He got in there with Lyoto Machida, he got in there with George St. Pierre, he got in there with Matt Hughes, he got in there with Frankie Edgar. You name it, BJ Penn has faced some of the toughest talent in mixed martial arts history, whether it's Jens Pulver, an 155-pounder, as I mentioned, Matt Hughes and George St. Pierre at welterweight.
George St. Pierre, though, we're talking about, their last fight was 7 years ago.
Hey, I'm not disputing that. Look at Cole Miller's resume over the last number of fights. It's not as if he's fighting the cream of the crop fighters.
But first of all, as far as a change, as far as a body type and a collection of skills, these guys couldn't be any more different. Seaver's shorter than I am, and Cole Miller is 6 feet tall, long and rangy, more of a bottom game submission player, where Seaver's a grinder on top. So they're different. And I was saying, I love this one for BJ. I was one of those guys. I'm like,
Me too.
This is the right fight for him. Then I thought about it. I'm making the cardinal sin that we often make, and that is I think I know what Cole Miller is. I think the last time I saw Cole Miller, that was a finished product. That wasn't a finished product. Cole Miller's been somewhere doing something that BJ doesn't know about. He's been working really hard. He's been developing his game in different ways. He's added pieces of his game. He's removed pieces of his game. He may wrestle way better than you think he's going to wrestle. So none of these are easy. Cole Miller's a dangerous guy with a unique collection of skills. If the BJ shows up that we know, the best BJ, that's a cardinal sin to assume we'll get that too. So I can't wait to see the fight. I love it.
I think one of the questions that we have to ask is, we all recognize BJ Penn as a decorated champion. He's revered. Martial artists think, he's one of the greats of all time because of his collection of skills. But all the time he spent in Hilo, was he growing? Was he surrounding himself with true martial artists that the goal is to be as complete as humanly possible? I think, again, the commitment to move down to Albuquerque shows that even though BJ Penn has money, he has fans, he could continue his life just being a martial artist. He wants to improve as a mixed martial artist, as a fighter, and this is a sign that he's going to do that. And hopefully we'll get to see something. Hopefully Mike Winklejohn and Greg Jackson say, look, whatever you did in that Frankie Edgar fight, we're not going to do that. These are the things that you've been doing well. Let's build on those things and have the best version of BJ.
Yeah, everybody loves BJ. If you don't, I guess you don't have to, but BJ's a phenomenal fighter. Cole Miller, I think, is a big test for him at this time, at this juncture. And if he goes and he has moved away, he's gone to a different team, he's worked different, he's trained different, and then he loses to Cole Miller, then we know maybe
sure.
BJ, seriously.
Quickly, Frank Mir updated what the latest is regarding his drug test. He got his B sample back. Not surprising, it reflected the A sample, which is typically what happens. The A sample and B sample mirror one another, pardon the pun. And Frank, at this point, he's facing a really big challenge here in terms of going against the positive drug test that is coming out of that card that he had in Australia. And this is going to be a unique one to watch of how USADA issues out a punishment for Frank Mir, because this very well could be a career ender. This is going to be very important of how Frank Mir handles
Well,
this.
he already said that he's contemplating that. He understands that, based on his age and based on, everything that's going on in the landscape of mixed martial arts, and, the next number of years could be the final years, but who knows, that time could be right now. What do you expect?
Yeah, well, we'll see. The one thing I think is unfair is that in this period, there'll be the odd guy who gets dinged. It happens to be Frank Mir. I happen to be a big fan of Frank Mir and what he's done in his life. But at the same time, whether it's Frank Mir or somebody else, you're going to catch one or two of these guys who come from an era where 60%, 70%, 80% of people took stuff because they needed to, because their opponent probably did. And then once that starts, they all do it. It happens in every sport that isn't monitored like that. So if you got 80 guys that you could have caught, and you catch 8 of them, people will point fingers and blame them. That shouldn't happen. Frank shouldn't not be able to do commentary or analysis. He's really good at that. Frank shouldn't be banned for some insane amount of time. This is a reflection on the change from a really, really untested era where many or most took stuff to a tested area, and some guys are going to get dinged.
So that's going to be one to certainly watch and see how it plays out. We are going to be back with our UFC 198 preview show, which you can tune in and check out Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. A full hour previewing all of the fights at UFC 198 with Robin Black, John Ramdien, and myself.